Free! Julian Assange! Free! Julian Assange!
America's decade-long effort to get Julian Assange onto US soil moved into the British High Court overnight, with US lawyers trying to overturn a January ruling that the WikiLeaks founder's mental health was too fragile for him to be extradited.
All good people hate Julian Assange. What was his crime exactly?
US prosecutors have charged Assange with 17 espionage-related offences and 1 count of computer misuse over the release of classified military documents provided by whistleblower Chelsea Manning. The charges carry a combined maximum penalty of 175 years, but the US now says if he's convicted, he can serve his time in an Australian prison.
Julian should never be extradited. He was doing his job as a journalist. He's being criminalised as a journalist.
And there are plenty of catches, including an exemption that could see Assange put in solitary confinement if he continued to speak out from prison during a future trial. A frightening prospect for his supporters, who've long argued he's at risk of self-harm.
I saw him on Saturday. He's very thin. I'm very concerned for Julian's health.
On day 2 of hearings, set to kick off in a few hours, Assange's lawyers are expected to point to a bombshell report last month that the CIA and Trump administration considered kidnapping or even assassinating Assange in 2017.
Have you ever heard of a country allowing the extradition of one of its protected asylees, political asylees, to the very country that wants to murder him?
I hope that the courts will end this nightmare, that Julian is able to come home soon, and that wise heads prevail. This has to come to an end. Julian has to be free.
John Shipton is Julian Assange's dad. He spent years tirelessly supporting Julian and fighting for his freedom, and he joins us now. John, Julian has been in detention in one form or another for more than a decade now, without trial or conviction. What kind of toll would you say it's taken on him?
Oh dear, it's debilitating fundamentally, you know. Julian is ill. He couldn't, yesterday at court, he could only sit there for a short while before having to be relieved and go to his room or to his cell.
I believe that you and Julian get to talk on the phone. What do you talk about in those conversations?
Oh, the phone calls are okay. I like them a lot. I guess the gossip is the first thing to start off with, you know, how the children are or how our relative friends are. So that sort of thing is first cab off the rank, that warmth, human warmth, and then talk about, you know, what I can do, where I've been, and how much more I can do. We call this a zombie case, that the undead, it won't die despite scandal after scandal after scandal. This case keeps rising from the grave to persecute Julian some more, that sort of thing.
John, speaking of gossip, did Julian tell you about Pamela Anderson, or did you read that in the papers like the rest of us?
No, we chatted about Pamela Anderson, and what we spoke about was how Pamela was gifted so with great beauty, and her trouble was to be taken seriously in her commentary. You know, that was her trouble, to get people to take her seriously, because she is also pretty bright.
John, last month it was reported that the CIA had top-level discussions about kidnapping or even assassinating Julian. What's your greatest fear if the US was to get a hold of him?
They've given certain assurances. What can you believe when those people tell you these things? Not much, particularly if your son's life is on the line.
One of those assurances is that Julian could maybe serve his sentence here in Australia. Do you take any comfort from that, or is that just another assurance that probably won't see the light of day?
Julian spent now 12 years fighting for to be able to be a free man. So there'll be another 3 years of appeals here. Julian would go to the United States, and after every avenue is exhausted, which will take about 11 years. It's 10 years waiting for a Supreme Court case. So after every avenue is exhausted, that would mean 27 years altogether he would have spent fighting for his freedom. It's just absurd. I can't really put into words how grotesque these propositions are and how utterly deceitful they are in order to give some sort of comfort to the public outrage that surrounds Julian's persecution.
John, I think you just did. Thanks so much for chatting with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye now.
If you'd like to know more about John's story and his fight for Julian, the documentary Ithaca is premiering at the Sydney Film Festival next week.